Nobody likes to be put to the test, but we see how valuable of a motivator it is, and how it makes us grow in the end. Think of all those exams that we took in school. They motivated us to study, and made us determined to understand the material being taught. Or playing sports, when our coach had to scrimmage a far better team, even though we would lose, just so our team could be stretched to improve. Or bodybuilding, where you have to add more weight to break down muscle and let it regrow stronger. If we understand the value of being put to the test in the physical world, how much more valuable could it be for growth in the spiritual life? In the Gospel, a Canaanite woman asked Jesus for a favor, to heal her daughter who was possessed. First, she was ignored by Jesus. Then the disciples complained that she was bugging them. And lastly, Jesus responds with an insulting comment. Now, this doesn't seem like a typical encounter with Jesus. The early church fathers commented how this was an instance of Jesus putting someone's faith to the test. And her persistence pays off when she hears, "O woman, great is your faith." Biblically speaking, God putting our faith to the test is normal when He wants us to grow. Think of Noah. He had to build an ark while everyone else enjoyed life, and not a rain cloud was in sight. His test led to the saving of a valuable slice of God's creation and a restoration of faith. How about Abraham and Sarah? God promised them a child, but tested them with a 25-year wait. When Isaac reached his teenage years, God tested Abraham to sacrifice his only son. And He also tested Isaac, who had to carry the wood to his own sacrifice. The result of these tests of faith? Abraham and Isaac became the first patriarchs of Judaism. Consider Jacob, who was tested by wrestling an angel all night. He had his hip bones struck and damaged during the encounter. His test led to his new identity. He was now Israel, the father of the Israelite nation. Or Joseph, sold into slavery by his brothers and left to die. After his test, he rose to second in charge in Egypt and made a prosperous future for the Egyptians and the Israelites that he had moved down there. Lastly, John the Baptist's father Zechariah went through multiple tests. Zechariah and his wife Elizabeth were tested with being barren. While serving in the temple as a priest, Zechariah was put to the test by being promised a child, but struck mute for the entire pregnancy until he named his son John. Then he was put to the test again, watching his son grow up not as a temple priest like his father, but a strange man in the desert. The final result was John the Baptist became the greatest of all the prophets and paved the way for Christ. When our faith is being put to the test, don't bemoan, "Why did this happen to me?" Rather, praise God for being chosen to grow and the privilege of being part of an exclusive group of individuals who have been chosen from Noah to Zechariah for a special mission. Our job is not to avoid these necessary tests, but rather to be open to growth and dependent on God to see us through. It is out of our persistent struggle that our best prayers are formed. We may be undergoing a test of faith now, if we're trying to get a child to return to church, enduring a long-standing suffering, in battle at work or with family members, or just having doubts ourselves. We may not know the outcome of this test of faith, but we need the virtue of hope in the meantime. For St. Clement of Alexandria said, "If you do not hope, you will never find what is beyond your hope." Hope is not based in human achievement or strength, but solely in the power of God. Why does God put our faith to the test periodically? Pope Benedict said that faith makes us light, enabling us to escape our own gravity, which weighs us down. In other words, it was the Canaanite woman's faith that Christ could heal her child that allowed her to rise above the heaviness of despair and hopelessness of the situation. The same is true in us. The spiritual life and being put to the test is not about a sink or swim attitude, where we are depending on ourselves, but rather a take the hand of Christ and allow Him to pull us out attitude. This is why St. Augustine said, God is not a deceiver, that He should offer to support us, and then, when we lean upon Him, should slip away from us.